Rimowa is a brand established in 1898 from Germany, known for their luxury travel goods, in particular their suitcases and luggage line that has gained popularity over the years, and even more so in modern times with the acquisition from the luxury powerhouse LVMH. So understandably, it was only a matter of time that their lineup expanded in terms of traveling accessories to that of, well, phone cases, something that you carry around every day. And with the launch of Apple's iPhone 17, their newest $200 case is no exception. So today we're taking a look at the Rimowa iPhone 17 Pro Max black aluminum case. Now look, when it comes to luxury goods, often consumers are paying for brand recognition, logos, and I'd argue, to play both sides, at times often quality material. In this case, all pun intended, well, it's not necessarily that. It is 100% more so function over form here. You're paying for a specific aesthetic, and for 99% of you, it's probably not the case for you. That said, for the 1% interested, the Rimowa fans, the one where this matches your aesthetic, those who want something different, or just simply have $200 to burn, outside of the $1,000 plus you've already spent on the phone, well, then let's talk about it. The Rimowa case design falls well in line with the same design language that has made the brand famous. The case itself comes in two model options. You can get this aluminum model here or the polycarbonate model, either for the Pro or Pro Max in this case. Color-wise, it's either black, titanium, or silver. Ironically, the titanium matches last year's model, and the silver is the only one that matches the Pro models this year, given that they've opted out of the space black this year. So I have mine on the deep blue 17 Pro Max, as you can see here, and I thought that was a nice color combo. Now, the case itself is a majority of TPU plastic is what comprises of it. That's going to help against the heat resistance and just kind of daily use. That comprises mostly of the border that surrounds the phone itself. This has basic cutouts for your camera plateau, your charger port at the bottom, as well as speaker grill, and then of course the newer camera control button on the bottom right here. So you can still access that and click the sensor. Now, there's plastic covers over the standard buttons, so your sleep, wake, volume rocker, action button, that some may feel like they cheaped out here. Technically, they could have opted for cutouts and so on, but that would subject the buttons to dirt and debris. But ultimately, with the plastic covers, I personally had no issue accessing or using these buttons in terms of accessibility. Now, in terms of the actual case and how it protects the phone, because that's what a case is for at the end of the day, this achieves what I would call basic level of protection, right? It's going to protect the screen from laying flat here and laying on the surface due to that kind of edged and lip design. So you're not just laying it flat on this new ceramic screen itself. Same thing goes for the back and the camera cutouts. It has just an elevated edge where that lip is going to protect those camera cutouts there in the lenses so that if it's sitting flat like so, it's not, scraping that new camera plateau, which is a little bit more susceptible, as has been pointed out this year, to dings and scratches. But that being said, this is going to allow your phone to, survive its basic drops, dings, scuffs, throwing it in the pocket with your keys and whatnot. But is this the old school OtterBox layer of protection that's going to survive, 1,000 feet falls? Well, no, it's definitely not that. The case itself is still, a case. It's minimal design with the ribbed iconic lines that matches that of their luggage and suitcases that transparently you either probably love or you hate, right? The aluminum itself adds a nice touch and feel, especially with the aluminum of the new iPhone 17 line that they went back to from titanium. And everything, like I said, still felt accessible and, usable, even with this extra layer of protection and grip that it added to the iPhone Pro Max here. This, however, also leads me to the biggest con of this specific model with the aluminum, and that is that the MagSafe is not compatible on the aluminum model. In fairness, the reps will mention this, or they should mention this just so you know, but due in part to the design of extra aluminum layer, as well as just the kind of ribbed design here, it renders MagSafe chargers essentially useless. So this goes without saying, if you are somebody who relies heavily on MagSafe accessories or need that wireless charging, this is not the case for you. They do have a polycarbonate model, which technically is compatible. However, your mileage will vary there with the rib design and whatnot. So keep that in mind. Otherwise, the case still works for NFC, wireless tap payments, The case, like I said, doesn't hinder the buttons mostly in any way. I haven't had any issues. Also, something to note, the flash. The flash is not hindered in any way from the case. You can see that the flash still works. I haven't had any issues with the lens kind of like flaring due to the lip over it personally, so that's just something I want to notate. It's also worth notating, given the aluminum back, it is prone to kind of oils from your fingerprints and whatnot. So keep that in mind. After usage, you'll probably notice some kind of oil and stuff accumulate on that kind of sleek aluminum. However, per Rimowa's recommendation, you can use a either damp cloth or ideally like a linen-free cloth, like glasses cleaners and stuff like that, to wipe that down, and that does a really good job of kind of bringing that brushed look back to the aluminum if you ever need to give it a good cleaning. And one thing I'd add is that, when it comes to Rimowa, the brand is very well known for their kind of warranty and repairs around their luggages and suitcases, and I can 100% vouch for that. I've had a couple things looked at or repaired, and it's always a simple process. The phone case here does come with a 2-year warranty, which I don't know what the average warranty is. I mean, if you compare it to other case manufacturers out there, for example, like D-Brand, they have like lifetime warranty on their clear case for yellowing. 2 years is decent, I imagine. At least it sounds decent for, something that you're going to pretty much use every day and ideally have for a couple years. But it's nowhere near that of their like warranty and guarantees of their other products. So again, it's something that they're very well known for. In this case, you have that 2-year warranty by default with this case, which is something to note. Now, all of that said, does anything really justify its actual price point? And as I said earlier, and to no surprise to conclude this review, well, no. I personally got this case because I enjoy the aesthetic. I'm clearly a fan of the brand, and I was fortunate enough to get it early on at the day release of the iPhone. These cases are not something that Rimowa stocks often. I've actually talked to reps about this. They tend to sell out, and right now they're probably mostly sold out on the website, and they kind of have these limited restocks throughout the year, but it's not their main bread and butter product, and it's not the main thing they're known for selling, so it's not something they're constantly stocking year-round. Look, there's nothing wrong with spending to protect valuable assets like your phone, and or paying up for something that you like, even just the aesthetic for, that you care for. However, I'd argue for most people, whether or not you're a fan of Rimowa, this is a specific niche product for a niche audience who's willing to pay upwards of $200 for a phone case. There's nothing wrong. Again, I'm a prime example of it, obviously, if it's something you enjoy. However, from a luxury standpoint, there are many products from Rimowa specifically where I felt the cost was justified by the quality and the experience. And even though, ironically, this is one of their more cheaper products in the line, it's not something I'd go as far as recommending everybody go out there and get, like I do, for example, with their luggage line, an investment that I do think is worth it. So this, all intended, if you will, is a special case. Thanks for watching.